So Sonsoles, thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to learn more about the Better Not Younger brand and specifically the insights and the approach you've taken at really appealing to women who are 50 years and older, really an untapped group that has a lot of growth potential. So thank you for joining us today. So let's just get started. Can you tell us a little bit about your professional background and what led you to Better Not Younger?
Sure. So thanks, Amanda, for the opportunity. It's great to reconnect with you. And you and I worked in hair care many years ago, right?
Right.
And so I spent my whole career, or most of my career at P&G, so 24 plus years, and then about 3 years in L'Oreal. And most of the time in beauty and most of the time in hair care. And so when I left kind of my corporate career, and I had always noticed how much my hair was changing, right? And I kept like thinking, why doesn't anybody talk to women whose hair is really changing so much? I started noticing in my late 40s. And then I thought more about it. I said, well, of course, I know because I worked in the industry and I know they don't. And actually, Amanda, I don't know if you remember this, that all of our briefs were women 18 to 44. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All of them. Yeah. So life was over at 44, 45. And I remember, you might not remember this, but I always joked about it, which is what happens with women after 45, they kind of disappear. And so I started thinking about it and I said, it's incredible that all these big companies are kind of ignoring the fact that not only physiologically our hair changes and there's a real product need there, but the fact that these women are just completely ignored. And so I started researching a little bit more, and I didn't even know all the statistics behind it, but I mean, this consumer spends 2.5 times more than the average consumer. She holds $15 trillion of worth. She is the largest demographic that earns over $100,000 a year. About 82% claim that they're willing to try new products. And about 85% of them say they're completely ignored and misrepresented. And so they're being misrepresented because everybody's so focused on the millennials that they've kind of ignored that there's another large group. And if you recall, the way we did marketing was like, get them young and keep them for life, right? So we had all the point of market entry programs, and then we kind of said, oh no, like the old women, they'll never change their habits and so on. And now I'm 55 and I'm constantly changing brands. I'm completely disloyal, just as disloyal probably as I was many years ago. So, and then on top of that, they're being misrepresented because there are hair issues that she needs to resolve that nobody's thinking about. So as you age, your hair gets thinner because your follicles get slower and smaller and shrink. And then on top of that, and that's why your hair grows thinner, on top of that, your scalp is older. And by the way, your scalp ages faster than your face because it's a different type of skin. And so all of that, my daughter's just arrived, all of that to hair that is thinner and weaker and fragile. And then on top of that, you are coloring a lot more often because the gray starts showing up. So when your hair is most vulnerable is when you're doing the worst of your hair. So you're coloring every 4 weeks, you're using flat irons, you're trying to solve all the hair issues at the time when the hair is very weak. So long story to say, there is a consumer group that's misrepresented because nobody wants to talk to her, but she has a real product need. And then you mentioned this, and then she's also being misrepresented because everybody's using old stereotypes. So whenever brands try to talk to them, you see women like with their grandkids and, you know, in cruises and doing gardening. And honestly, I don't see myself like that. And I don't see any of my friends like that. So it was such a disconnect. Or I always laugh about like those ads where like, I fail, I can't get up, and they're selling you that thing that you rank. So this is like a super consumer completely ignored. She has the money, she has the need, and she has the attitude to continue to do things, but nobody's talking to her.
Wow, interesting. And when you talk to these women, Sonsoles, what are they saying that, what brands are they saying, what, these brands get me in particular? Are there many, if any at all, that you're
No,
discovering?
very few. For sure, nobody would say they're talking to me on my aging hair issues. The only aspect of aging that they're talking to me about is either graying, so get color it, or hair loss. But when they talk hair loss, they talk it in a very therapeutic, I want to call it like scary science, a big commitment to minoxidil, drugs. And a lot of women are not there yet. I mean, they don't want to be, they don't have big patches missing in their hair or anything like that. They just have thinner hair, drier hair, and none of the products seem to work because all the products that might have worked for you in your 30s, they're not working anymore because your hair has changed. So there are no brands really talking to these women in the hair care category. So what happens is they're constantly trying many brands, spending more money and more time trying to find the better products. And of course, there are a lot of great products out there that will address some of the hair issues, but none is really talking to you. So you have to kind of like research and find and try and throw away and try again and things like that.
And what makes Better Not Younger the right solution for their hair needs? What's special about Better Not Younger?
Right. So before I get into the solutions, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the brand itself, because one of the things that I realized, and I realized that at a personal level, but also from my experience or talking to other women, is like, we don't want to be told that aging is a problem that somebody's going to solve for you. We don't want to be told, we're going to fix aging. I mean, we know we're not going to turn back time. And the industry keeps trying to convince you that, we can erase wrinkles, or we can turn back the clock, or give us 2 weeks and I'll give you 10 years, and you'll look 10 years younger. And it comes a point in your life where you say, that's just a bunch of crap. And I don't really believe it. And by the way, you're not connecting with me.
Yeah.
Having said that, when I started working on Better Not Younger, and I kind of knew what the segment was, but I didn't know what the brand would be like.
Yeah.
So I hired this very small boutique agency to help me with the branding process. And I just briefed them and talked about everything about myself and my kind of aspirations in life and all that, and my hair problems. And at the end, they were saying, okay, but it's like, you want to look better, not younger. I mean, that line came out. They said, yeah, that's the positioning of the brand. And then we started looking for names, and we spent weeks like brainstorming. And then one day I said, you know what? The name of the brand is Better Not Younger. That's what it is. It's the attitude. It's women that are not ready to like just do gardening for the rest of your lives. And if you think of it, many of us are going to live maybe 90 years.
Right.
So at 50, you're just going to like for 40 years do nothing. It's hard. It's not realistic, no? So that's why a very important part of Better Not Younger, it's the attitude. It's the celebration of aging. It's the feel good. It's like I don't really care what you think anymore, but I'm very confident in my skin, because you're no longer trying to be somebody else. In your 30s, how old are you, Amanda?
I am 42.
Okay, so very recent 40. In your 30s, you're always kind of trying to be somebody else, You're always following the fashion and the makeup and this and that. There's nothing wrong with it, but one day you realize that what fits you, what hair fits you, what clothes fit you, what makeup looks good on you and things like that. And that's kind of what we wanted to reflect with Better Not Younger. So it was very important that it was a celebration of aging.
Yeah.
And not being apologetic about it.
I really like the insight of like, hey, these women are not throwing in the towel. There's a stereotype that these women are just throwing in the towel about how they look and their lives. And your point around like, no, they haven't stopped caring, and they do want to continue to improve. They do want to continue to get better, but they want to go forward, not backwards, which I think.
Yeah, exactly. And they just feel very good with themselves. Yeah. That's why they just want to like enhance what they have. They don't want to like go back or anything. I had a friend literally said, you couldn't pay me enough money to be 30 years old again. I hated being 30. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know, I was tired all the time. I was running with career and kids, whatever. And she said, I wouldn't want to be there again, you know? Of course, we all want to live longer, but that moment this moment in our lives is just great because you have financial flexibility. Your kids are at home, but you have energy. I work out every day, you know, things like that. So back to the hair and the science. So I try to really understand and learn more what's going on with aging hair, because I mean I kind of know a lot about hair, but like what exactly is going on, and basically it all really comes down to hormonal changes, and just aging in general. So what happens is all these hormonal changes and the fact that you're getting older is what's causing what I talked about follicles shrinking, your body's producing less oils, less sebum, so your hair is also growing not only thinner but drier. Your follicles get slowed down; they don't produce as much hair anymore. And then you're constantly using a lot of stuff on your scalp, so you're clogging your pores. So that's hair that's you're prevented from coming out. So there's a lot going on. You may have deficiencies in your nutrition, that you're producing less collagen, and collagen is important for hair, for skin, for bones. So all this is going on. And then, like I said before, you're doing the worst damage you can do to your hair because you're coloring very, very often, right? And your hair gets frizzy more because it's more fragile, so you're using the flat iron more, or things like that. So it's kind of like at the moment when your hair is the most vulnerable is when you're doing the worst to it. So we went, I went up and hired this chemist. She's a scientist. She's a graduate from MIT with a Cornell PhD. She's amazing. She has a lot of experience in the beauty industry. And she helped me design the products. And so, you know, we started with kind of the basics of like the price of entry today. It's like no sulfates, no parabens, all those, you know, no cruelty, vegan, all that stuff. But obviously we need to go beyond that. And so our model, kind of our philosophy was kind of to work on both the root cause of aging hair, but then the signs of aging hair. So the root cause is really that your inner health. So that's why we have some of our products are vitamins and biotin and collagen. Then we have products for the scalp that are meant to nourish and fortify the follicle. And then we have products that detoxify the scalp to get rid of all that stuff that you put every day so that your scalp is clean and healthy, just like you wash your hair. Look at my hair. Your face every day, you have to take care of your scalp as well. And then we have the products that are for the hair itself, which is shampoos, conditioners, frizz, heat control, a root lifter. I mean, I can show you more products. I can show you the products if you want, but those take care of more like the appearance of the hair. But they're designed in a way that really meets the needs of this consumer, because your hair is very dry, so they're super moisturizing, but you don't want it to weigh your hair down. So there's that great balance. You know that from your times in hair care. And then we also want that they're very rich formulas, very textures are great. I mean, it's meant to be like an experience. We also have a product that's designed for women that want to wear their hair gray. Remember, you and I worked in Silver Expressions. This is a mask, a very rich mask that is going to control the unruliness of the gray hairs. But more importantly is for women that want to wear their hair gray, gets rid of the brassiness, because gray hair, like platinum hair, can get brassy. So it's purple. It's a purple butter. So yeah, it's a very holistic line that works from the inside out with supplements, scalp, and hair products.
Wow. And what's been the reaction of, you know, the women that have tried the product?
Yeah, I mean, we started selling end of March. We're doing extremely well. I mean, we launched an event in New York, and we've been growing sales. It's only direct to consumer. We actually were picked up by the New York Times. So there was a write-up about the brand in the style session of the New York Times on June 5th. And then a few other publications have been starting to talk about it, and that's great, because PR is one of the most fundamental things that we need as a startup. We also were contacted by Google to participate in their Google Accelerator program. So we're doing that. So yeah, we have a lot of momentum. It's doing really, really well. And then we're in talks with Sephora.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Very, yeah.
yeah. So
And
all
what
very, very
happened to the
fast.
product in Sephora for this woman, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
So it's only been 4 months, but very, very busy and doing well so far. And the feedback is very good on the product. Very, very good. We were looking at some metrics last month. 20% of our buyers were second-time purchasers,
Wow.
which is great because it's you go through maybe 2 or 3 months before you buy again because you have so many brands in your shower, and already we have 20% repeat, which is it's very, very good.
That's
So
great.
yeah, you should check us out. I'll send you some products.
Oh, thank you. And one last question, Sonsoles, if a business was thinking about and saw an opportunity with the 50 plus woman, what is one thing you've learned that could help them delight her even faster?
Well, I would say that you have to treat this woman with utmost respect because she is absolutely like accomplished, and she knows what she wants, and she's savvy, and she's online, and all the things that people think she's not, she is. And the other thing I would tell you is she has no tolerance for BS. So you got to deliver what you promise. So I would say that, and then keep it lighthearted, keep it fun, keep it, life isn't over, that kind of attitude.
Right.
I will tell you one more thing that I learned through this process is how there is like some kind of ageism like really going on in the industry. I had a really hard time finding models that would be age appropriate for my brand. I ended up like, if you go to my website, most of the models there are my friends, and they're beautiful and they look great, and I didn't have to pay them, and it was really hard. And it's very hard to get mainstream publications to talk about the brand because they don't think it's the right target for their magazines, which shame on you, because honestly, first of all, we know that magazines are not doing very well because readership is going down, and probably the only few people that are reading it are older.
Right.
And still, we've had a challenge getting, the mainstream publications sometimes to talk about this.
Wow.
I think they'll come around,
Yeah.
They'll
It's
have
amazing though, to your point, like it's still not even in the consideration set of critical industries. It's
Yesterday, there was an article, somebody published an article about Unilever doing a partnership with this company that does kind of hair quiz to diagnose which product to recommend. And I went online and did it. And the age brackets were under 18, 18 to 24, 24 to 35, 35 to 50, 50 plus.
Yeah.
So there were 4 brackets for under 50, 1 bracket for over 50, which they assume that 50, you have the same hair than your grandmother,
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, 50 plus is covering 40 years.
Yeah, whatever, kind of thing.
Right. It's amazing. I mean, it's interesting how, I think the clothing industry, the financial industry, I mean, there's a lot of industries that I think have an opportunity to better understand this woman. And, I'm hoping through this conversation, we can help start to raise awareness that this is a woman who is, lucrative and quite frankly, a lot of fun to serve. And this takes really making sure that you understand her well enough and you don't make assumptions or follow the stereotypes.
Exactly. Don't make assumptions and follow the stereotypes. It's a great way to say it. And then I would tell a lot of people have reached out, just like a lot of people don't want to like talk about it. It's a lot of women just reach out and say, thank you. This is so great. Finally, somebody's talking to us, and they're out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Well, Sonsoles, thank you so much.